Paris is live outside. He's talking to a juror. Let's listen in.
That wasn't presented to us.
Right.
So we didn't include that in our deliberations in terms of making a decision on each of the counts.
Is there any kind of a broader message that today's verdict sends?
No.
I think during jury selection, you mentioned some concern about lobbying, right?
Yes.
Has your view changed at all? I think you said something like it's akin to bribery, if I remember right.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Do you still feel that way?
Absolutely. I think that was a big part of not getting a verdict for McClain as well, because a lot of individuals thought that it was more lobbying work that he was doing.
Which is legal.
Right.
Okay, but you still have a concern about the practice in general.
Exactly.
And
What was it in your mind that sold the government's case to you, that you felt like we feel like we have to come back with a guilty verdict on these particular counts?
I think the way that we did it for each count, especially count 2, when it pertains to bribery, that was absolutely there in terms of the government presenting that evidence. But in terms of count 1, I think we all was kind of on the fence, so we didn't really come to a decision on that one.
What was the most challenging part of your deliberations?
Personally, what I've learned is that individuals are coming from a different perspective in terms of the way that they view the evidence and the way that it's presented. So that was probably the most challenging part, is to coming into a consensus of what everybody's seen, or the words that's in the instructions from the judge.
And did people wax and wane? Did some people lean one way and then come back the other way?
Yes.
When you guys said yesterday that you've reached our limit for the day, was there some frustration there? Was that part of an argument, or no? You just
no
were done for the day. Okay.
I think we were just more closer to the end of the count, so we just wanted to have fresh eyes on what we were looking at this morning.
In terms of the convictions, Madigan, what was to you the most decisive piece of evidence that really cinched it for you?
I think a lot of Madigan's evidence were really pertaining whatever McClain had done. Since McClain was basically speaking on his behalf the majority of the case, or the majority of the time, it kind of was a straight shot at what Madigan had guilt in certain counts. Especially the way that but the judge laid out the instructions and the details that we had to answer regarding whether someone was guilty or not guilty.
And how did the jury assess the ghost ComEd subcontractors?
Could you ask that question again?
The subcontractors,
the fact that they weren't getting paid,
yes,
but they weren't doing work and getting paid.
Correct. How did the jury assess that? What was the thinking about this?
The thinking there was whether or not they knew for a while, whether or not Madigan and McClain knew that those individuals were getting paid and not doing work.
And did you think that... Was it multiple jurors?
We came to the conclusion that they did.
Meaning Madigan and McClain?
That they knew.
Yeah. And what did you think when you just had to keep going overtime and overtime? You thought you were going to be done before Christmas.
I know, man. It was nothing I was expecting, honestly. Truly, this is my first time ever doing jury duty. I wasn't expecting this at all.
What about,
And I'm sorry about
what
that.
does it say, though, about Illinois state government to you? What did you learn the most about the way our government works as a result of this?
There's a lot of details in terms of the language and the way it's structured in the law that's misunderstood sometimes, that can be further explained, or I really enjoyed the way the judge explained his instructions.
But in terms of the honesty of state government, what were your takeaways?
I think it's pretty fair all around the board. There's really no way out of it, honestly, truly. The language is pretty straightforward, so I don't think there's any issues with the state government.
Do you think politics are corrupt in Illinois?
I have no opinion on corruption in terms of...
And just a little early.
Jurors that held out, or was it one or two that...
A couple that were still deadlocked?
I didn't hear your question.
Was it multiple jurors that held out on some of these counts, or was it one or two that were tough to convince?
It was two.
Two.
Were you one of them?
Can I get your name, please? Just your name, sir.
Okay, if you're still with us, that was one of the jurors. We don't have his name, but you know, saying everything was cordial. I think we're going to get his name.
My name is Malik.
Malik?
M-A-L-I-K?
M-A-L-I-K.
And are you
from the
suburbs or
Can you say where you're from?
I'm from the inner city.
Okay. Are you okay saying your last name, sir?
No last name.
And
Can your number what?
6.
Number 6. Your number 6.
And what do you do for a living, and what's...
I won't like the shit out.
No. Okay. Are you looking forward to going back to work?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So I'm sorry, I jumped a little later, but tell me about the first one. The what was, and it's just the counts that were deadlocked and why it took you guys. Why couldn't you guys convince the other two?
It just took us a little moment to get on the same page with the perspective of the language and the instructions. That was it. And whether or not the evidence was ever presented and whether it was there or not. I think that's the answer to your question. I'm sorry, guys.
Okay. Malik, thank you for your time.
So, if you're still with us, and I'm not sure that you are, that was Malik. We didn't get his last name, but basically revealing that out of the 12 jurors, it was really 2 that were not convinced on the government's case on some of these counts. So, and he said it never really got contentious in there. Everybody was cordial. Everybody was doing their job, you know, the way they were supposed to. So, really interesting to hear from one of the jurors here who's no doubt happy to get out of here and go back to work.